Hi, it's Dwyer, gamblersadvisory.com, dwyersportsbetting.com for premium picks. Look us up in the sports section on Roku. We're there. Dwyer Boxing and Sports News. Remember, the opinion you should follow should be your own. Just consider this video to be a second opinion from a complete stranger online. I made a video yesterday, a post-fight video on the Manny Pacquiao Timothy Bradley fight that's generated a lot of feedback. I'm grateful for and have read many of the comments left to that video. I've had some thumbs up. I've also had more than 30 thumbs down. Right? I want to speak with those people for a moment. Right? Let me say this. We now have a lot of commentary on what happened in that Manny Pacquiao-Timothy Bradley fight from a lot of people. Right now on BoxingScene.com, there is a great article that actually discusses Freddie Roach's views, right, on his prize fighter, Manny Pacquiao. Understand, the view from the corner. This is a great view on Manny Pacquiao, someone familiar with Manny Pacquiao. Freddie Roach believes that Manny Pacquiao's hand speed has slowed down a bit. Right? In the post-fight video, I commented on the fact that Manny Pacquiao's volume has also slowed. Those comments have infuriated a lot of people. Right? I believe Pacquiao won the fight. Understand, as I said in the post-fight video, I believe the fight was a lot closer than the judges had it. Well, just understand that CBSSports.com scored the fight 115-113 for Manny Pacquiao. Just understand that David Griesman on BoxingScene.com scored the fight 115-113 for Manny Pacquiao. Many of you have privately indicated to me that you thought the fight was very close. In fact, some of you believe that Timothy Bradley won the fight. Right? Now, there are a host of you who are upset. You want me to admit that somehow Manny Pacquiao is an intrinsically better fighter than Timothy Bradley. I'm sorry. I picked Bradley before the first fight. I believe the second fight is really more a story of Bradley losing the fight than it is Manny Pacquiao winning the fight. Now let me be clear here. I thought the first round was a Bradley round. Right? I scored the first round for Bradley. I encourage everyone to look at your scorecards. I thought Bradley came out and outboxed Manny Pacquiao in that first round. The reason why I thought Bradley was going to win this fight is because I believe Bradley is better at boxing than Manny Pacquiao, right? I thought the lesson Bradley learned in the Ruslan-Provodnikov fight was that swinging for the fences and going for a knockout was a recipe for disaster. Bradley's not a big puncher. His forte is in outboxing you. Right? I thought Bradley has the better jab than Manny Pacquiao, fights better inside than Manny Pacquiao, had Pacquiao's left hand timed. Right? I thought Bradley even figured out that the left only hurts at certain angles. Right? And that if he ducked low while throwing the jab, he didn't give Manny Pacquiao a lot to hit. I thought Timothy Bradley on his back foot could win this fight, and I thought if it got a little bit up close, if Pacquiao got inside, I thought Bradley could then take a further step inside and outbox him on the inside like Bradley outboxed Devin Alexander on the inside. Right? Keep in mind, Bradley's reputation used to be that he got so close to you that there were headbutts. Right? Bradley knows his way around fighting inside. Right? Now, what I saw in this fight was Bradley, after a great first round, come out and revert back to who he was against Ruslan-Provodnikov. It's absurd that Bradley would be going for a knockout against Manny Pacquiao, when in my opinion he had the advantage when the two guys boxed. Now we can debate this all night long, but as I said in the post-fight video, I feel Bradley fought a very poor fight. Right? I think after a great first round, a promising start, I think Bradley gives away the second and third rounds. I think he gets it back together in the middle of the fight. I think the fight hung in the balance. Going into the later rounds, then I thought Bradley fell apart there too. Now Bradley's corner wants you to believe that Bradley tore a calf and that prevented him from doing certain things. But the one thing I know is that Bradley swinging for the fences wasn't the game plan I had in mind, right? I wasn't expecting Bradley from the Ruslan Provodnikov fight. I was expecting Bradley from the Marquez fight. I thought Bradley won the first fight between these two in part by working behind a jab. I didn't want Bradley to abandon that jab and have this fight become a brawl. That's what happened, right? Do I feel Bradley has the capability to beat Manny Pacquiao? Yes, I do. Just like I did before the fight. Do I feel he beat Manny Pacquiao in the second fight? No, I don't. As I said in the post-fight video, I believe Pacquiao won, but I do believe that it was a close fight. Now on HBO, you heard a lot of talk about a talent gap between the two guys. Now let's be clear on this. Pacquiao hits harder than Bradley. I'll concede that, right? That's Pacquiao at his best. Not the Pacquiao who hasn't gotten a knockout in the last handful of fights, right? Hasn't gotten a knockout, right? Pacquiao at his best has faster hand speed than Timothy Bradley. I'll agree. Just understand that Pacquiao's own trainer believes that Pacquiao's hand speed has slowed. Right? So, boxing is an event-based business. It's not about who's intrinsically better. It's about who was better on that night. Timothy Bradley, by his own admission, was going for a knockout. That's crazy. You remember what his corner, Joel Diaz, yelled at him during the Provodnikov fight. Right? Diaz, by the way, to this day maintains that Provodnikov fight could have been an easy fight if Bradley had just moved. Why did Bradley decide to give up the movement against Manny Pacquiao? It's absurd. Let me say this too. As we talk about talent, do you consider head movement, being able to drop your hands and to not get hit meaningfully, to constitute talent? I do. I'll tell you what, that's what happened in this fight multiple times. Maybe you also saw the part where Bradley is up on the ropes, has his hands up, invites Pacquiao in. Pacquiao throws a bunch of punches, backs away. Bradley is so non-phased, he actually motions to Pacquiao to come back inside. Right? I don't know why anyone would look at this fight. Look at scenes where Bradley has his hands dropped, doesn't get hit meaningfully. Bradley has his hands up, is inviting Pacquiao to take his best shot, and his best shot doesn't drop Bradley or even, materially daze him. How could you look at parts of the fight where that happened and reach the conclusion that Manny Pacquiao is simply a better fighter, doesn't have holes in his game, right, and was effective in every facet of his game against Timothy Bradley, right? This isn't the part of the internet for diehard fans who don't want to look at their fighters' strengths and weaknesses, right? I don't care if we're talking about Ali, Sugar Ray Robinson, Floyd Mayweather, whoever, right? The goal here is to get at the truth, right? In the words of singer Aaron Neville, to tell it like it is. Right? And so if I offended anyone by pointing out that Pacquiao is too left-hand dominant, or that there were times in this fight where I was looking at Pacquiao and I thought, wow, Timothy Bradley would never drop his hands against Roy Jones or Sugar Ray Leonard. Right? Wow, Timothy Bradley would not be inviting in, let's say, a two-handed Mike Tyson to throw more punches while he's up on the ropes. Manny Pacquiao, the bottom line is he's 35 years old. Folks, it's starting to show to even his trainer. Again, CBSSports.com had this 115-113 for Pacquiao. Many of you have told me you had it 7-5 for Manny Pacquiao. Many of you have written in the comment section, and it's here. Don't go by my views, go by your views. Many of you have openly wondered what Bradley is thinking when he gets away from boxing and goes toward brawling. Right? I thought the boxing got him the win over Marquez. It would have been foolish for Bradley to brawl with Marquez. Right? He brawls with Provodnikov, almost gets himself killed. Has to take a knee at the end of the fight. What's he doing brawling with Manny Pacquiao? Let me just say, too, the brawling's so obvious to anyone who sees the fight that even Bradley's promoter, Bob Arum, has talked about how, in his opinion, Bradley has raised his market value by not boxing, but by brawling with Manny Pacquiao. I disagree. I think the best way to raise your market value is by winning fights. I thought Bradley left this win on the table. Now let's talk. My core audience are gamblers. Let's talk about the best values at 147 pounds, because let's get real here. I know the mainstream media is talking about Floyd, Marquez, and Pacquiao. Right? Pacquiao is openly campaigning for a fight against Floyd. Pacquiao is scheduled to meet the winner of Marquez against Mike Alvarado. Right? Now, my point to you is simply this. The older generation is getting way too much press. Right? The torch, really, talent and skill-wise, is being passed to a new generation. Floyd is 37 years old. 37. Marquez is 40. Pacquiao's 35. These guys are long in the tooth. This is not the heavyweight division. This is the welterweight division. Right? Ages like these are old ages. Right? Just food for thought. As a general rule of thumb, you can get away with older age. The boxers seem to age more slowly the heavier you get. So guys like Vladimir Klitschko, Tony Thompson, Amir Mansour, they're still elite fighters. Right? At advanced ages at heavy. Bernard Hopkins is able to continue to perform at light heavy. This is the welterweight division. Ages like this are ancient. My point to you is too much attention is being paid to Floyd, Marquez, and Pacquiao. There's some young guys in their prime being ignored. Since the public has been focused so much on this senior citizen group, I believe that a fight involving one of these young guys I'm going to name might give you some betting opportunities at the casino. Right? The first young guy, and I'm talking about the best values, not necessarily the best fighter, but guys who, quite frankly, are underrated or at least neglected. Guys who are bargains in the casino, and we'll see how these guys do going forward, but just a short list. The first is Kell Brook, 27 years old. Right? Many of you here in the United States are saying, Kell Brook, who's he? He's 32-0. Now let's talk about his strengths. Understand, in a division with Manny Pacquiao, Legendary Legs, and Timothy Bradley, Above average legs, but Bradley, let's face it, his legs have been letting him down. Torn calf here, 2 sprained ankles there. I believe at 147, Kell Brook has the best legs in the division. He marries that with some of the best hand speed in the division. Now, there are holes. Perfection is elusive. Kell Brook looks like he can be stalked. He looks like a guy who can fight inside, who has the foot speed to catch up to him, could do some damage. Carson Jones in that first fight. But make no mistake, Kell Brook is two-handed. Right? He has better balance, in my opinion, than Manny Pacquiao. Let me say this. Timothy Bradley would not dare drop his hands against Kell Brook. Right? If he did, he'd get knocked out. Right? Such is Brook's hand speed, such is the two-handed nature of Brook's attack. Right? I know Kell Brook. I know that there are many in the UK who are saying, that's right, Kell Brook. They know who he is. For those of you outside of the UK, please do some research on this fighter. He was scheduled to fight Devin Alexander. I thought that would have been a tremendous fight. Tremendous. Right? That fight fell through. Some other fights have fallen through. He wanted to fight Amir Khan. Kell Brook, quite frankly, hasn't been in the ring enough against top-flight competition. But make no mistake, the talent is there. Right? The punching power is there. Certainly the legs are there. You need to have him on your radar. Another guy you need to have on your radar, I think this guy represents compelling value, especially now that he lost to Sean Porter, is Devin Alexander. Right? I know the world is looking at Floyd Mayweather's fight against Marcus Maidana. Right? Maidana looks like a world beater after beating Adrian Broner. If you want to see a lopsided fight, please take a look at Devin Alexander against Marcus Maidana. To be blunt, Floyd Mayweather would have to put up pretty much a masterpiece to do better than Devin Alexander did in routing Marcus Maidana. You want to see a fighter who knows he was thoroughly beaten in a fight? Look at Marcus Maidana in that post-fight interview. Right? Now, I know the world right now is looking at Devin and they're saying, gee, he lost to Timothy Bradley, he lost to Sean Porter. I know Devin's stock right now is not bullish. He's a southpaw with hand speed, some of the best reflexes in the division, some of the best legs in the division. I think it's a mistake to undervalue Devin Alexander. Another guy, and this guy again being overlooked. If it wasn't for this old man's club here at the top with big names like Floyd, Manny, and Juan Marquez, Keith Thurman at 25 would be getting a lot of pub. An argument can be made that this guy has the most upside because of his outsized punching power and the fact that he has lifted his game. First time I saw Keith Thurman, I thought he was a mid-range hooker. Now he's a boxer who knows how to fight backing up. Right? The thing with young guys is some of these guys add a lot to their game. I don't believe guys in their 30s can add a lot to their game. But young guys can. This guy's learning on the job. And this guy, quite frankly, is an elite fighter right now. If Keith Thurman gets a shot, look out. I think you need to know who Keith Thurman is. Another guy who, quite frankly, I believe is undervalued, I believe the world's forgotten about him, is Robert the Ghost Guerrero. Right now, I know this is going to be blasphemy, but I would take the Ghost right now over Juan Manuel Marquez. Right? I'd take the Ghost right now over Saul Alvarez. I believe the Ghost, he's 31, a little bit older than the other guys, but I believe the Ghost is the best card player in the bunch. Right? If you're close to him, this guy's the best boxer of all the guys not in the top three. Right? This guy knows how to box. He's a southpaw. He has the best angles. Right? Now he has a problem against lead straight right hands from guys who could move like Floyd Mayweather. But don't be fooled by the Mayweather fight. Right? Guerrero lost to the best. So it goes. Right? Mayweather is a high wire act that really nobody else can match. Right? Understand too, it's interesting. Floyd came out against Canelo ready to go toe to toe with them. He didn't do that with the Ghost. Right? I mean, let's just say Floyd moves much more against the Ghost than he moves against Canelo. Let me also say, too, the Ghost has a problem with mobile volume. That's hard to find. I think Robert Guerrero is an elite fighter. He has the same problem Kell Brook has in that he hasn't been in the ring enough of late. Understand, he's an elite fighter. The more you see, the more you like. If you look at the Ghost's resume, titles in multiple divisions and stuff like that, you'll realize that he really is a Hall of Famer right now. Right? Understand, too, that he was the mandatory for for Marquez for years. And Marquez ducked him. Right? Figure it out. Marquez obviously would rather fight other people than this guy. Let me close by naming another guy who I think's value. And I realized from reading the comments on this guy, every video I make on this guy leads to a lot of comments, that this guy's easily one of the most controversial people in the sport. There's a wide split of opinion on this guy. Right? Supporters are almost hesitant to praise this guy. Right? Amir Khan, in my opinion, has, and this is in a division with Manny and Floyd, right, and Kell Brook. Amir Khan, in my opinion, has the best hand speed at 147 pounds. Right? His hand speed is blinding. Now, Manny Pacquiao used to have probably faster hand speed. The Pacquiao I saw in his last few fights, in my opinion, can't match Amir Khan right now in hand speed. Right? Khan is in his prime. His power is actually two-handed power. So again, in terms of functional hand speed, right, Amir Khan, quite frankly, is faster than Manny Pacquiao. I'll say this, right, Timothy Bradley, and keep in mind, I picked Bradley to beat Pacquiao in the rematch. I think the world of Bradley. But Timothy Bradley would be a fool if he dropped his hands against Amir Khan. Right? He got away with it multiple times against Manny Pacquiao, I believe, because he understood Pacquiao's one-handed. Right? So he could kind of like drop his hands and look at the left. Right? Amir Khan's two-handed. That'd be suicidal. Let me say this too. Khan also has above average foot speed. More importantly, Khan has one of the better jabs in the division. Right? Khan's jab is excellent. Look at the Paulie Malignaggi fight. Malignaggi's hard to find in the ring. Khan finds him repeatedly with that jab. Right? That jab is excellent. Now, Khan has some problems. He's relatively inexperienced at 147 pounds. Right? Khan's moving up to the weight. That's a problem. Khan also has a stiff neck. He's not an intuitive fighter. Right? He's not a guy who makes adjustments during a fight. He's more of a soldier than a guy thinking for himself in the ring. right? His corner has to tell him what's happening in the ring. Let me say, Oscar De La Hoya was this way too, right? Some fighters, the corner has to kind of say, hey, look, you might want to think about this, right? Khan is great at following instructions. He's not the best in the ring. He's not Ali. He's not in the ring reading the lay of the land. He's not Floyd. He's not reading the lay of the land and then saying, oh, wow, this guy's throwing this here. Let me block. Let me make an adjustment, right? A Floyd fight will have Floyd getting beat by Zab Judah, right? 3 rounds in, he's getting beaten. Then Floyd makes adjustments, right? It'll have Floyd getting hammered by Shane Mosley early. Then Floyd makes adjustments. The problem with Amir Khan is, right, something's not working in the fight, and it continues to not work for rounds, right? So Khan, again, he's a young guy. He's not what I used to call, well, what I still call adaptive reactive, right? His corner has to be on it. He has an excellent guy in the corner now in Virgil Hunter. But understand, someone has to hold Khan's hand. Also, the other problem, too, is you want guys who, especially when they need their hand held, have been with their trainer a long time, right? It's like you look in the corner at Marquez and Nacho Beristain. You look in the corner at Roach and Manny Pacquiao. You look in the corner at Diaz and Bradley, and you say, okay, these guys have been together. So when Diaz loses it against Provodnikov and is yelling at Timothy Bradley, threatening to end the fight, you understand these guys have a relationship where the fighter's not going to be offended, right? These guys are on the same team. They're like family. Virgil Hunter started working relatively recently with Amir Khan, who used to be with Freddie Roach, right? And so there is some uncertainty over the familiarity between the two guys, even though Khan's immensely talented and Virgil Hunter is one of the best trainers in boxing, right? But I'm here to tell you, and I know Floyd is talking about fighting Amir Khan. Understand, this is one of those rare fights where, in my opinion, he'd be fighting a guy who has the hand speed advantage. He'd also be fighting a guy who, quite frankly, moves a lot better than Marcus Maidana, right? If Amir Khan were to fight Floyd Mayweather or some of the other guys out there, and if he doesn't make the mistake of staying close to the opponent like he did against Danny Garcia, right? If in fact he fights the fight that he fought against Zab Judah, take a look at that film, then Amir Khan is a handful for anyone in the division. Now I understand because his losses look like train wrecks, right? The Danny Garcia fight, the Breeders' Prescott fight, you have a lot of people writing this guy off. I think that's a mistake. I think Amir Khan is compelling value. Look at the odds for Mayweather versus Marcus Maidana, right? If the casino offers odds like that for a Mayweather-Khan fight, I'm going to have to take Khan because that's where the value would be, right? Again, though, understand, on a value bet, right, the odds are you're going to lose the bet. But the point is you would be compensated for the risk, right? In other words, if Mayweather starts slow, if Mayweather's just lingering, if Mayweather's just lingering through the first 3 rounds of the fight, and then decides he's going to get on his front foot, try to find Amir Khan, good luck with that. Let me point out, too, that while Khan is just getting to 147, let's be real here, right? Khan's already beaten Marcus Maidana, Mayweather's next opponent. Paulie Malignaggi has held the belt at 147 in the past and is fighting for the title on the 19th against Sean Porter, right? Amir Khan has already beaten Paulie Malignaggi, right? If you go through Khan's history as an amateur, you'll see he's beaten people like Victor Ortiz, So don't be that thrown by the weight. The talent level is such that Khan has already beaten a guy fighting for the title in Maidana and a guy who's held a belt at 147. So don't sell him too short. Let me hear from you. If there's a name you think I missed, tell me about it. Right? Let's discuss it. Right? There are names out there I haven't named today, Adrian Broner, but understand, I think the public knows Broner. Broner has been a richly priced favorite in many fights. I think if Broner were to fight a big fight against one of these guys, he'd probably be favored by the casinos. Right? This video is really on compelling values, value plays, not picking favorites at long odds. Let me hear from you. Thanks for stopping by.